Good evening. It's me, Wilderness Fire. I told you all I'd bring important message tonight. It is now 10:30. I sent the invitation around 11 o'clock this morning, so I expect people to show up. While I was just doing my own business as I do every single day, and you'll hear this from a lot of Christians out there. You could be minding your own business, and all of a sudden, information just hits you, and it's a little piece of a puzzle. Then a little bit later on, another piece of puzzle hits you a couple days later, and you're looking at these pieces, analyzing the pieces of the story that you're getting in your head. Then more pieces land, and more pieces land, and more pieces land, and then all of a sudden the last piece hits the puzzle, and everything just comes clear as day. I want to talk today about why people in America are saying that that America is the sleeping giant, and it is sleeping. Okay, if America is the giant, who are the ones that are sleeping? The Muslims are wide awake. The Jews are wide awake. It is the Christians who are dormant. And despite what you all believe, America was based on Judaic Christian values. It was never made in Islamic values, in an Islamic order. So what you have today are the American Christians who are betraying the Bible, every one of them. Because Christ says, for example, do not sit there and wait for the end times to come, but go out and bring people to him. If you are sitting on your butt today, believing that the rapture is going to happen anytime soon, so therefore you can just let your country go to hell, allow it to collapse and destroy itself, then you're not going to enter heaven. Because Jesus makes it very clear that we have to go out and collect souls. We do not have the right to sit on our butts and do nothing. We have a job to do. And if in this time of crisis you're going to sit back, kick back, and watch everything just fall apart and self-destruct, then you're part of the problem and not part of the solution. You have to understand, folks, the Christians in America are the giant. Because whether you like to believe it or not many of you are atheists. Not many of you are Muslim. Most of you are still Christian. But the American Christians nowadays are being indoctrinated in their own churches. They're being conformed within their own churches. So now when the only people who are actually supposed to be standing up aren't standing up, we have a real problem. Christians have become pacified. They've been taken out by the enemy. An inside job, by the way. I might as well say an inside job because that's what it is. When the enemy enters our churches and starts spreading propaganda that's completely inaccurate and invalid, and you can consider that to be an inside job, an inside attack. So most Christians today are under the delusion of a pre-tribulations rapture. But that doesn't make any sense, knowing Christ. Do you really think that your flesh is worth sparing pain? Do you believe that your flesh does not deserve pain? Do you really believe that when everything comes down to it all, when the army of the Antichrist is destroyed, when all this is happening, that you will just be sent off to heaven and have a magical party in the sky? Is that what you really believe? That when you spent all of your life watching soccer and watching football and watching baseball and wasting your life away, not collecting any souls, you really think you're just going to go to heaven for that just because you love Christ and you know who he is? Come on. You have a job to do. And if you don't want to fulfill your role, fine. But don't sit there and act like you're going to heaven. This is a time of crisis. Okay? This is a time for you to prove yourself to him. If you go out preaching his word at this moment of time where you risk your own life to talk about him, then you are proving to him that you love him, that you care about him. And that's what he wants from you. He's not counting sins. He's not sitting there angry at you because you stole something when you were 7 years old or when you were 20 years old. Not worth that. He wants a relationship with you. You have to build it with him. And when you go out and preach for him and spread his word around, he loves you back tenfold. Look at Daniel. Daniel got thrown into the lion's den. Daniel got thrown into a furnace. And in those times of crisis, Daniel stood up, believed in God, did what he had to do, and got thrown into a furnace for it and survived. You have to trust God in this world. You have to completely trust him. You can't just sit back and go, oh, well, my country's doomed. Either it's going to be a crisis or it's going to be an asteroid or the RFID chip is going to take us over and brainwash us, or that they're putting fluoride in our water. And it's like all these little weakling excuses to back out of self-defense. You have the right to defend yourself and your family. And you should. You shouldn't be sitting there dormant going, oh, well, we're doomed. I really wish you would lose that mentality, because that mentality is why the giant sleeps. It is the American Christian today who goes around as the sleeping giant. You're all too dormant in your praise music. You're all acting like you're praising God, but you're not praising God. If you were really praising God, you would go out there and educate other people. What does Jesus say? He says very simple, what do you gain when you only love your family? What do you gain if you only love your brother? You have to go out and love other people as well and share the love and show the other ways of life. So if you're inside of your church every single week just dancing around with the praise music, putting your hands up and acting all holier than shit, then you're not accomplishing anything. You have a job to do. Whether I'm sick, whether I'm sore, I still come here to make my videos every day and spread the word to the guys out there that listen to me. And the guys that listen to me know that I don't lie to them. They know I try to tell them the truth. Sometimes I can't tell them the exact truth because it's too much explanation, like in one video, but I give you the gist of it. The MGTOW men out there, man, we have a real chance of fixing everything. I don't know. I just have so much trust and faith in the MGTOWers, because it took a lot of balls. It took the balls that are needed, the balls that Christ is seeking, the balls that mankind needs to become a MGTOWer. You can't just become a MGTOWer and just like overnight, and you can't just become it like just because you want to. You have to go through a suffering phase. You have to be duped. You have to be conned. You have to be used. You have to be worn out. You have to see that most of the females out there are completely crazy. It's something you become. You're not born with it. And I think it's the same thing with Christianity. You have to step into it, understand it, learn from it, become it. Just like you become a MGTOWer, you can become a Christian. It's a bit strange that I have 0 viewers right now, but you'll all show up when you guys show up. I've been making late videos lately. I mean, it's 11:45 here right now. It's like, 2 p.m. in America. It's not that late, but in the rest of Europe, it's all pretty late already. I mean, in England right now, it's 9:45. In Germany, it's like 11:45 almost. But you all should know why America is sleeping. Because most of you are Christian. But not only that, most of you are Christian, but at the same time, you're all sleeping. Wake up from the delusion. Understand, how can you sit there as a Christian, knowing what your Bible says, then go to the church and see what the church is doing? It's completely contradictory towards what the Bible says. So how can you enjoy that? You know it's wrong. Yet everybody likes the mega churches nowadays, and they like the Joyce Meyers, and they like usually I can think about that creep's name. Now I can think about it. The holier than shit guy, the one that lives, the one from Lakewood Church. Man, usually I know his name. I can't think about his name right now. I guess I'm not supposed to. Let's see here. I'm opening up the live chat, and I don't see anybody talking, so I do see that I have a message in the inbox. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, it's 007 Wets. I asked him to come join my video, but I don't think he's going to join. I have to go to a birthday party, but I want to know what God told you. Well, if you listen to the live stream right now, you would hear it. The American Christians are the ones that are asleep. People keep saying that America is the sleeping giant. It is the Christians that are asleep. Wake up the Christians. That's your only hope. And actually start listening to the Christians. And by the way, I want to mention this too. Have you all come to realize yet that family life the way that you know it is actually only from Christianity. Islam does not have the same kind of family. Think about it. Everything, Judaism and Christianity are almost the same. They have the perfect family lives. The real Christians, not these fake Christians that you see nowadays. And that's another problem. A lot of American people go, look at these Christians. They're supposed to be God lovers, but look at them. Look at them. Look at them. But a lot of these Christian women today, for example, are narcissistic. So they're still evil. A lot of men today, they just go to church Sunday and then they sin all week. They sin Monday to Saturday, and then Sundays they go to church and ask for forgiveness from Monday to Saturday. That's not being a Christian, folks. Being a Christian is when you're surrounded by people that you still have the balls to talk about Christ. It's not feeling embarrassed about him. It's not feeling like, oh well, how do you say that? It's not like trying to hide him. You don't hide him. You just stick him out and you show him to the world, no matter what people think about you. You keep mentioning him. You tell them what it's really like, because many people today are in a false delusion about what he's about. Let me give you an example of the biggest false delusion in the United States right now, and it's huge. I've already mentioned to you before that Chi Science Stigma is the 666 mentioned in the book of Revelations. But when you look at Americans today, you see they worship the celebrity. And the celebrities are making hand signals that represent 666, the number of the beast. Number of the beast is not even 666, folks. That's just a translation. The original writing is Chi Science Stigma. So why are you all so focused and hung up on 666? It's because your media has spun it. Your movies make you think about it that way. Get over it. That's not how it is. Read your Bibles. None of you have even read your Bibles. None of you. If you believe in 666 and you believe in all this Illuminati horse shit, then you're falling for the trap. Look, if the Illuminati was really as dangerous and as badass as they think that they are, why would they make the American culture believe in 666 and not Chi Science Stigma? Even they haven't read their Bible. I still believe that they are trying to set the American up, which they have been doing, and as you see right now, I believe that the Illuminati was exactly made just to corrupt the Americans, not to corrupt the Europeans, even though that stuff has come over to Europe. It's been leaking out of the ocean, just been coming over America, over the ocean, and to Holland and Europe and other places, and especially Spain, man, and Sweden. But that's all it does. I mean, it's basically brainwashing the West into believing a false sense of a religion that's not even true. And they're doing it, basing it off your own ignorance, because they know that none of you have read the Bible. So they're just filling your head with junk. Why don't you read the Bible, folks? Why don't you just read it? What's the big deal? It's not that hard to do. Open up the book, ask God to say, hey, can I please read the book? Because you have to ask permission. If you don't, you're not going to be able to read it. And once you get the access to it, start reading it. You don't even have to read it. It reads itself to you. Sometimes it even shows you pictures in your head. You'll see like the backdrop. You'll see how the situation was. You kind of get like this mental image of what the story's about. The point being, folks, is that your 666 doesn't even exist. It's just a translation of Chi Science Stigma. And if the Illuminati were really as dangerous as they were, they would be promoting Chi Science Stigma. But the funny thing is, they're not promoting it. It's the Middle East that's promoting Chi Science Stigma. And those are the ones you have to worry about. The American Christian today is completely brainwashed. And you know how they brainwash you? Emotion. They make you feel instead of use your brain. Feelings. It's all about feelings. Don't step on anybody's toes. Be politically correct. Feel, feel, feel. Don't think, just feel. Don't use independent thought, just feel. Look how they destroyed Bill Cosby by public opinion. And then more women came out, more women came out, more women came out, until it was a joke of amount of females. They're using your emotions against you, which is a classic narcissistic thing to do. Now, if you don't believe me that your political leaders are narcissistic, and if you don't understand the damage that they could do, a narcissist gaslights. Gaslighting is super dangerous. Many men have been killed by it. Many females have been killed by it. And if you look at the recent video I posted of Jackie Kennedy killing John F. Kennedy, she was gaslighting him too at the moment she pulled the trigger. She acted like she was in love with him. Gaslighting is super dangerous. And when people go around feeding you everything that you want to hear, but don't back up what they're doing. For example, if they say they want to lower taxes, but then raise taxes, that is classic narcissism. And narcissism used to be classified as a psychopathic trait. Okay? So please understand, it's called blowing smoke up your fucking ass. It's called blowing smoke up your fucking ass. That's all they're doing. Stop buying it. Stop believing them. Stop thinking that Obama's going to bring you change, because the only change he's going to bring you is destruction. As I told you before, man, evil does everything in reverse. So while you're thinking, oh, this is a great president, behind your back, he's destroying the nation. And this is a fucking classic satanic attempt at a dictatorship. Because Satan, as I said before, does everything in reverse. Everything. Your politicians always promise you everything, and they deliver you nothing. There's a reason for it. Because Satan doesn't give a flying fuck how he reaches the top, just as long as he gets there. You don't care how many lies he has to tell. You don't care who he has to kill, what he has to do to get to the top, just as long as he's there. This is the classic symptoms of the narcissist. Because the narcissist, whether you like to believe in demons or not, is a demonically possessed human being. Absolutely. You know, your celebrities out there, they do worship an entity. It is Satan. But it's not the Satan as bad as we all know him to be from the Bible. It's just a baby version of him. You want real satanicness? Look at ISIS. That's real Satanism right there. They're killing people there because they believe in Jesus. They believe in God. They believe in Jehovah. That's real Satanism. Americans are afraid of little girls dressed in white dresses and long black hair because movies have scared the shit out of you. You've been completely brainwashed. If you can't admit it, then you cannot admit that you have a problem. Look at Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the first things you have to do is admit that you have a problem. Do that now. Admit that your media has lied to you. Admit that the world is not telling you the truth. Admit that UN is in your nation. Admit it. Once you admit it, you could fix it. Don't sit there thinking, oh, the pre-trib rapture is going to pull you out. That's insanity. Was Jesus pulled out when they came to crucify him? Were the Jews pulled out in World War II? No. We will not be pulled out. We have a job to do. The job we have to do is go around and save as many souls before Jesus comes back. Don't sit there and be a lazy shit and then think you're going to get into heaven, because Jesus will stand there one day and say, why should I let you in? When it really mattered. When it really mattered. You didn't help that person. You see that person burning in hell right now? You could have saved him, but you didn't. So why should I let your butt into heaven? That's what he's going to tell everybody right now who's sitting around waiting for this pre-trib rapture. This pre-trib rapture is complete and total nonsense. There's no reason for it. God needs his soldiers. Jesus needs his warriors. Why would he go on to a battle and then put all his warriors somewhere else? We are his warriors. We are his bride. We are the ones that will back him up. So why would he send us up to heaven and then take care of everything by himself? That's not what the point is. As a matter of fact, it's even proven there is no pre-trib rapture if you just read the Bible. For one thing, there's going to be, after he locks up Satan in hell, there's going to be 1,000 years peace on earth. That means that there's not going to be any freaking rapture for at least another 1,000 years. Okay? So why you all keep believing in a pre-trib rapture, I don't know. But it is stopping you. And this is why I believe it's the brainwash that your media has keep spinning on you and your churches keep telling you, so you will not defend your country. It's like you're waiting for salvation when salvation is not going to come. But while you could have been defending your country and took it back to your own salvation. You all trust in Christ to bail you out, but you don't trust in Christ enough to speak about him and to know that when you speak about him in public, you will be ridiculed, but then to know that he will have your back if you are ridiculed, and if you are persecuted, he will have your back. If you are thrown into the lion's den, he will have your back. If you are thrown into the furnace, he will have your back. There's very few people out there today. Mostly they're only street preachers who know this. They're the ones that they put their butts on the line every day. They stand out there on the street, publishing what they know, speaking about what they know, being persecuted for what they know. I am an internet preacher, and I'm proud of it. I started out as a MGTOW. I got myself a little following, but my true calling is a preacher. And I'm very good at what I do, and I've studied what I know. There's nothing in the Bible we can't talk about that I wouldn't have a decent, reasonable answer for. And any of you can challenge me by asking me a question, and I'll happily answer it for you. Let me go to the box to see if there's actually anybody online yet, or nobody. Well, there's one person watching. That's strange. People keep leaving me inbox messages, but they don't seem to notice I'm live streaming. So again, like the title says of this video, why America the Giant Sleeps. It's because the giants of America are the Christians. They make up the mass of the population. Whether you want to believe this or not, they make up the mass of the population. The atheists are the smallest mass. They are the smallest pack. They have the loudest voices, but they are the smallest pack. This is why I always said the devil always screams out loudly. He wants to draw attention to himself. So he'll bring out all the hoots and whistles to make you lure to him. Atheism in the United States is still the smallest pack of people. Christians still are the majority for now, until Islam starts taking over. But you could defend it. You could stand up for it. Why have you not impeached Obama yet? You know how bad he is. You keep him in there. It's like you want to be beaten. It's like you want to be punished. It's like you all want to suffer. This man has no good intention for you. And if you keep thinking that he's trying to fix the mistakes of George W. Bush, wrong. George W. Bush is in on it. They have shooken hands, folks. Okay? They have shooken hands inside of the White House. What more do you need to know? If George W. Bush was so bad as everybody says that he was, and then he had to be arrested like everybody wants him to, and don't you think it's a little bit strange that your president is shaking hands with him? That they're in cahoots together? When will you all understand that when John F. Kennedy was murdered, the NWO stepped up? That's exactly what they did. They murdered him and they stepped up. The country has been hijacked. You are no longer going down with Christian values. You are no longer a Judaic Christian nation. You're becoming a nation of self-indulgence, self-destruction, and narcissism. Basically, all symptoms of Satanism. You're even allowing Satanism into your schools now. You all have a decision to make in that country, folks. Whether you're going to sit on your butts and let your country be destroyed. Because it will be destroyed. And then you could build up from the ground up going, where was God to save us? Where was God to save us? Nobody ever said God was coming. You humans said when God was coming. But what does Jesus Christ clearly say? Nobody knows the date or the time that I will return except for the Father. So unless you think that you are smarter than God, and if you think that you're bigger than God, then you can only be the only person that can predict when Jesus is coming back. Because only God knows when Jesus is coming back. Not you, nobody, not no scientist, nobody. Not even Jesus himself knows when he's coming back. So don't sit there and think just because the weather is changing, earthquakes are happening, and and like 77 out of 100 predictions are coming true, there's still a lot of predictions that have to come true. And you can't expect for the world to end this year when there has been no 7-year peace treaty, when the Ark of the Covenant has not been found yet. You all sit there and nitpick and cherry pick the Bible and everything that you want to have out of it, and then you base it and go, okay, well, the world seems to be getting worse right now. Yep, there's rumors of war out there. Yep, it's time. What makes you so arrogant to think that you're better than Jesus Christ? Every Christian out there today who thinks that the rapture is imminent, who thinks that Christ is coming back today, is an arrogant human being. You are not better than Jesus. Jesus doesn't know when he's coming back. So how do you? You all think because, oh, the 4th blood moon is coming, Jesus is going to return on a blood moon, and therefore he'll be returning in September. How do you know that the day that Jesus doesn't come back, that a blood moon just happens? If he created the whole universe, don't you think that he'll just turn the moon blood whenever the hell he wants to? Even though that science might believe that tonight might be a full moon, and yet it turns into a blood moon? You think that'll stop Jesus? Oh, the scientists say that tonight's a half moon, but therefore it won't be a full moon with the blood in it. He can bring whatever he wants to. You all have believed in mass media Bible. You believe in the masses, what the fucking masses have to say. I've told you before, and I'll say it again. The gates to heaven are narrow. The path to heaven is wide. So if it is wide, that means that a lot of people are going to hell at one time. Continuous stream of people going to hell. That is so many people going to hell that the path has become very wide. So what if you look, okay, all these people are dying and they're all going to hell. So what do they all have in common, and what do they all do in mass? So then you look at Earth, the people that are still alive today, and you look what they're all doing in mass. And then you could know that those people, what they are doing in mass, are the people that are going to hell. So what do you have today? Mass media. Mainstream. Mass media right there already tells you that it's a mass. And yet the masses are going to hell. The masses have always been wrong, folks. Always. From the beginning of history till 2015, the masses have always been wrong. Weren't the masses wrong when Noah built the big boat and everybody was laughing at him because he's building a big boat in the middle of the desert? Didn't the masses all think he was crazy? How about the masses when Moses climbed up the mountain of Mount Sinai and he came down with the 10 Commandments, and the masses were sitting down worshiping a golden calf? Mass has always been wrong. The mass of people used to believe that the earth was flat. The masses have always been wrong. The Germans thought it was okay to kill the Jews. The masses were wrong. Throughout history, you can clearly see the pattern of the masses being wrong. And now today, Satan is so boasting right in your face that you are going to hell. Because if you watch mass media, if you watch mainstream television, and you fall for the scams, and you fall for his cons and his deception, then you are swimming in the sea of what? Dead souls. Understand this, folks, that the mainstream media today, mainstream entertainment, is seriously and literally the river Styx. It is the river that floats you to hell. If a stream has a beginning, it surely has an end. So if you are following the mainstream, what is the end? Think about it. Is the end godly, or is the end demonic? Is it help thy neighbor, or is it stuff your own pockets? Jesus tells you what he expects from you. He tells you in full detail what he wants from you. He tells you what is good and what is bad. And if you follow the bad, you are not following him. And if you are not following him, guess where you're going? taking a minute break here just to have a drink, and because I got the vocal cord problem still, I have to just rest my voice for a second, and it gives a chance for people to show up online and ask questions if they feel like it. You know, another good thing I could point out to you, in the 1950s, there used to be this thing called the common sense. Have you noticed how common sense in the United States is dying off? Common sense is no longer common, but common sense is what the Christians would call discernment. And since, and back in the day, 1950, that most people were Christian, common sense or discernment was very common. Everybody was Christian. Everybody had discernment. Discernment is a gift from God. Common sense is a gift from God. And when you lose God, He takes away your common sense. And this is why you're is filled with illiterate idiots, drones, zombies, because you all don't have common sense anymore. Common sense is now just sense. What used to be very common is no longer common. People in the 50s were smarter than they are today in 2015. I mean, did you know that's like right now, the value of the dollar on the worldwide market is only like 45 cents to what the dollar used to be in the 1950s. So everything tells you, I mean, seriously, everything tells you that life in America was good up to the 1950s. Despite the wars, America was still a prosperous nation until the 1950s came about, 1960s, where the feminazis came in, where the globalists came in after they killed John F. Kennedy and started hijacking the nation, allowing the homosexuals in, allowing change to keep coming in, changing from the 50s, changing, step away from God, remove God from schools, remove God from education, take the Bible classes out of schools, make people think that Christianity is old and only for stupid people. I mean, haven't you all figured it out yet? The country was hijacked by LBJ when Jackie shot John F. Kennedy in the head. LBJ is part of the New World Order. The New World Order stepped up, and since they stepped up, they have taken out religion from school. They've brought in an evolution. They have completely spun reality on you. And this is exactly what I've been telling you. The narcissist loves to gaslight. Your entire world, the entire American social society life is all one giant gaslight. And that is a bubble, and it can burst at any moment. And when it bursts, watch out. Then many people will be running to God. Trust me. When your economy collapses, when your Twitters no longer work, when your Facebooks no longer work, and your internet no longer works, people will be flocking to God again. You have allowed your brains to be filled with junk, filled with garbage, thinking that it's all important, thinking that tomorrow's baseball scores are so important when they mean nothing whatsoever. You've lost what matters, and you've gained things that don't matter. You see, I said before, if your life is only 100 years max, if you can only live for 100 years max, the devil lives for thousands of years. If he can keep you busy for those 100 years, keep you away from that Bible for those 100 years, then he fucking won. So remember this next time. Next time you decide to go to a wrestling match, watch a football game, watch the monster truck rally, remember the devil put that out there to keep you away from the Bible. And what you spend in 1 hour watching the monster truck rally, if you spent that 1 hour on the Bible, you would learn so much. As a matter of fact, I would love to have a prayer with everybody who watches this video. I would love for all the people to come together and have a big prayer with me and wake up. Because all it takes is one prayer and you will wake up. God is ready to enter your life. God is ready to enter your body. All he is waiting for is the permission slip from you. You have to send him an invitation. And I could teach you the way to find him, and I could teach you how to educate yourselves really quick in him. But it would have to be up to you to say the prayer with me. I'm not going to say it here. I want people to come and ask me individually. I'm not going to say it just in the video because that's silly. It has to be done together. But the point being is, if you want to learn how to change, if you want your life to change for the better, it only takes like 40 seconds of your time. I knew this guy on Facebook. I've known him for about 7 years. His name is James. His last name is not important. James has been coming to me weekly, constantly saying to me, look, I'm just watching that new movie, Noah. Look, I just watched the new movie, Exodus. And I write to him, I say, oh, great, so you're filling your mind with mass media brainwashing, are you? And he goes, oh, no, man, I'm just watching the movie. I said, if you're just watching the movie, why did you tell me that you're watching the movie? You don't tell me when you're watching other movies, but when they're religious movies, you tell me about it, that you're watching religious movies. He says, oh, no, man, I don't want to strike up a conversation about it. I just want to let you know that I was watching this movie. I'm like, okay, but if you're going to watch Top Gun or something, you don't tell me about that. So why are you telling me about the Bible movie? He says, well, I'm not trying to get into a conversation with you. I said, yeah, you are. You definitely are. You keep coming to me every week with your false logic and your stupid ideas about how God is not real, and you want me to defend him every single week. I'm not here to defend him. Pardon my cough. So James thought that he would get the better up on me. And I put him straight really quick. And he's like, oh, man, you're weird. I said, I bet I am weird. I bet to you I am very weird. And that's what I say to people every time now. People that come up to me and say, oh, man, you're weird. I'm like, yeah, to you, I bet I am weird. And that makes them stop and think like, huh, what the fuck? It's basically taking their insult and just spinning it back on them. You guys got to start standing up for yourselves too in that country, man, because America is going downhill. I mean, if you allow this man-spreading thing, what do you think else is going to happen to you? You think they're really going to stop at man-spreading? Man-spreading is just to see how far they can get away from you. Watch my video, How Narcissists Abuse in 10 Steps. I clearly say in that video, listen to me very closely. I say it very clearly in the video about how narcissists abuse in 10 steps, that they will start hitting you to test your boundaries. Once they see that they can put up with it, once they see that they can put up with their behavior and they know that you are caught, they will introduce more and more and more punishment to you. Man-spreading is just a way to see how far they can push men. Feminism was just a way to see how far they can push men. You've all bowed to them. You put them on pedestals. Females have become so used to having pedestals underneath them that they believe that they're born with the pedestal. They absolutely think they are born with the pedestal. They do not understand that it is man that gave them the pedestal in the first place, and that's the fucking problem. It's okay to put women on pedestals if you love them and if you want to take care of their high needs, because if you put them on pedestals, you're going to have to spend millions of dollars to keep them healthy and keep them well and keep them entertained. But if you want to do so, do so. But don't sit there and turn society into a way that when women are born, they're instantly put on a pedestal. Come on. Pedestaling used to be for a man that was wildly in love with this woman, and if he could afford to give her $1 million necklace and a tennis bracelet and all this stuff. But women now today are living on pedestals. They expect everything. I've also put that in my video about the entitlement. I said, hey, you love me as a man, but you don't love me as a human being. If you think that everything that I do for you is just something every man should do for you, then where do I come in as a human being? I've also put in another video saying that women love men, but they hate the human being. They have this idea, this grandiosity and grand idea of what a man is supposed to be. It's no longer just a man has to be a provider and a father. He has to have at least $100,000 in the bank, a good car, a good house, before she'll even consider dating him. Well, that's entitlement. Do you have those expectations against her? No, because if you did, you're a sexist and you're a bigot. You're not allowed to have any expectations from the female. You're not allowed to say, okay, I want you to be able to cook. I want to make sure that you are fertile. I want to make sure that you can clean up a house. I want to make sure that you are a good mother, that you will not try to kill me in my sleep. I want to make sure that you'll feed my children, clothe my children, bathe my children. You can't do that. You cannot say to her, no abortions. You can't do any of that. But they can have all these expectations on you. And you're wondering why your country is dying. It's because the men are no longer standing up and saying, look, no more. Men are opting out, but they're not fighting back. And because they're not fighting back, the feminism still exists. And I know a lot of men think, well, we're fighting back by just opting out. That's true. Partially true. But if you don't fight back, you can't change the laws. You can opt out, but you can't change the laws back to benefiting you again. So, I mean, what are we all hoping for here when we go with the MGTOW whip? We're hoping that females will fall on their asses, right? But once they fall on their fucking asses, has the legal system been changed? No. What has been changed? Nothing. Now there's just two victims, the male victims and the female victims. There's no winner here. You have to go back to your Christian Judaic values. Why are the Christians in America undercover, hiding their heads in the sand? Why? You have a duty. God gave you the duty, and you are all failing him. How dare you call yourselves Christians when you are failing him? He tells you very clearly to stand up against injustice, expose evil at all risk to your own life, because you're supposed to risk your life. He who risks to save his life will lose it. He who wishes to lose it will save it. Because God is the one that will protect you. Look at Daniel in the lion's den. He goes to Nebuchadnezzar and he brings the news. Nebuchadnezzar throws him into the lion's pit. And what happened? He survived. Then Nebuchadnezzar throws him into the what? Into the furnace. And what happened? He survived. Not only did he survive, God showed up in person. It's the Christian job out there to go out and keep society in check. You cannot just develop a society, call it a Judeo-Christian society, and then just sit there and go, okay, we've made the laws, now let's make sure that they just get upheld automatically. No, we have a duty to protect those laws, to stand up for those laws, stand up for the Constitution. Watch my video I just made. The one where it's called Lady Liberty's Weeping. I made the song, I made the video, just have a look at it. I'm more patriotic than most Americans are today. I grew up in the 80s there. You know why I can say I'm more patriotic despite living in Europe? Because from ages 9 to 17, I did not want to be in Europe. I tried to get out of this country. For 8 years, I'm more in my country, and I wanted to go back, and I couldn't. Then I went back, and I pretty much got robbed by my own father, and I had to come back to Holland. And once I got back here, I just established myself a life here. Does not mean I want to go. Don't want to go back to America. It means I can't go back to America because America has changed. And obviously, it was very clear to me when I went back to America that God was pulling me back to Europe. I'm telling you, everything was going so wrong, and it seemed like the only option I continuously had was to go back to Europe. There was no option to go find myself a new house. It was just took it from me. Everything, my dad robbed me. I was thrown out on the street. I was living on the street, and it's just like I had no opportunities. And every time I had an opportunity, it was stripped right from me. It was like constantly the wool was being pulled out from underneath me to make sure that I would go back to Europe. And then when I was going to go back to Europe, a ticket just pretty much kind of just like the money for a ticket just kind of appeared for me, and I was able to go back. And once I got to Europe, boom, boom, World Trade Centers come down, both of them. And since then, I've been sitting across the ocean, looking at the country I used to love, and just watching it completely be turned over to Satan. And I have to wonder why the Christians are sleeping. So again, I call this video, Why the American Giant Sleeps. It's because the giant is the Christians. And they are too busy being brainwashed from the inside by their churches that have completely spun them in the wrong direction. And this is also proving that they are false Christians, because any real Christian would understand that when a church tells you that you are a God, when the church tells you that money comes first And when the church tells you anything that goes against Christ, that the church is false, because the Bible is not false, Jesus is not false, mankind is. And when the mankind tells you that the biblical is wrong, guess who's really the wrong one? It's the man, not the Bible. So Americans have completely gone down the deep end with their churches. There's still a lot of them out there that are good. Believe me, there are still a lot of good Christians out there today. And you can also pretty much be believing that they are the few reasons why America's still standing. It amazes me so much that people would rather believe in aliens than believe in fallen angels. There's a story in the Bible that tells you exactly how the aliens will show up, what they are all about. And this is a story that was told about 5,000 years ago. And now we have science today that's coming out going, hey, aliens could be possibly real. La, la, la. Because they're in on it. They're all in on it. You know, a lot of people think it's not possible that so many people could be in on it. There are that many people in on it. Let me tell you something. You all talk about your rapture, right? You all say, oh, the rapture is imminent. One will be taken. One will be left behind in the field. You say, oh, there'll be a day where millions of people just disappear off the planet all at one time, and everybody will be wondering what the hell happened to them. You keep missing the very important part to that story. One will be taken. One will be left in the field. What does that say? It says very clearly, half the people in this world are evil. So go on and deny that the world is not evil. Yet Jesus Christ himself tells you that half the people in the world will not enter heaven. Sometimes I feel like turning off this live stream and letting it be for the evening, but I have a funny feeling people might just start showing up, and I'd like to have a good conversation with somebody. You know, we can talk about anything they want to talk about. We'll talk about relationships, religion, video games, whatever you feel like talking about. Well, not really video games. That's too. I'm not that crazy about video games. I know a lot of people love it, but I still see it as Satan's tool to keep you brainwashed. Like, go spend 5 hours in a game, spending 2 hours in the book. You know, today everybody's struggling to become rich, right? Everybody wants to become rich. Yet, what does Jesus Christ say? The rich man will have a hard time entering heaven. It's like a camel trying to be pulled through the eye of a needle. A camel cannot be pulled through the eye of a needle. Cannot at all. This basically means that almost every rich man out there, pretty much every rich man out there, will not enter heaven. As a matter of fact, if you are a rich man and you die and you have like 2 million or 3 million sitting in your bank account, those are going to turn into sins. You're going to have like 2-3 million sins on you, because every dollar could have fed a homeless person. Every dollar could have bought somebody a cup of tea, cup of coffee, changed their day, changed how they were feeling. You could have helped society out with it, but you chose not to. And now that money is just going to get eaten up somehow and not used for the reasons why God gave it to you in the first place. And do not ever think that you make it rich on your own. Don't think for a second that you made the power, that you struggle to the top. Bullshit. It's God that gave you the opportunities. It is God that gave you the energy to get up that day. It is God that gave you the power to get on that bus that day to get your first job. It is God that made sure that your boss accepted you. Do not ever think for a second that you do anything on this planet by yourself, because you don't. You don't do anything on this planet by yourself. You think you do. You might think that every decision you make is your own. He told you that before you were born, he already knew about you. He knows every single hair on the top of your head. He knows how many hairs you have. He named every single star in the universe. He knows every single one of their names. You think he doesn't know everything about you? He made your life possible. He makes every opportunity in your life. And if you selfishly take those opportunities and use them only on yourself, then he will punish you for that. This is what the ultimate punishment is. Don't you understand that? It's your own deeds being used against you in the end. If you go out and help homeless people all your life, you will be greatly rewarded for it. Why do you think there is goodness and badness for? Why do you think sometimes you have the urge? Let's say you're walking down the street. You know, you have two different kinds of urges. You have an urge to say to a homeless person, hey, buddy, we'll get a job. Or you have the urge to give him $1 or $2. Where do you think that urge comes from? Why do you think you do things in this life where you don't understand why you're doing them? You ever thought about that? There's a lot of things in life you do without thinking about why you're doing them, and yet they happen. Is that you controlling yourself when you don't know what you're doing? Or is it God in control without you seeing? So understand. I don't know if you've all heard my story probably once before about the altar, the big photo roll, the vision that I seen where God's fingerprints were all over my life. I can clearly say that even right now, he's with me. He's with us all the time. When you are born, he already made you a promise that he knew you before you were born, that he made your life for you, that everything in this life has been laid out for you. Every job you get, all the money you make, everything that you do comes from him. Every gift you've been given in this life comes from him. He says so. So why don't you use it for his goals? He's nice enough to give you the opportunity to say, okay, you gave all this to me. I'm going to keep it for myself and be really greedy about it. Or you can say, okay, God, I know a lot of people don't make $1 million a day like I do. So I'm going to take this money and give it to them. You know what kind of a hero you become too if you do that? That's how evil the evil, greedy people are. Take David Rockefeller, billionaire, right? He robbed the London Stock Exchange to become a billionaire. He doesn't give any of his money away. He buys things. He donates to certain charities. But he doesn't just give the money away to people. You'll never see that. You'll never see him come up and put $1 million into a local community church and then let the church spread out the money where they need it to. You don't see that. I'm telling you, if I was a rich man, if I had $10 million, all my money would go back to the church, or to anybody who really needed it. If they needed a new home being built, fine. If they needed a new community center being built, fine. Supermarkets being torn down, let's build a new one. And if I was president of the United States, one of the first things I would do, if I was president of the United States, is abolish all previous presidential orders. That'd be the first order. Second order was to get rid of Walmarts everywhere and just bring back the nation to where it was. We'll try to get Ford back. We try to get everything to come back. We'd build up Detroit again. We'd make the whole city brand new again. We'd start constructing and stop thinking, because the rapture's coming imminent. It's imminent. It's imminent. Oh, let's just bow down and do nothing. Let's just cower and fear like little ostriches with their heads in the sand. That's what America's doing today. You're all so afraid. Ooh, the rapture's coming. The rapture's coming. Ooh, gotta be prepared. Ooh. I like to see the person standing in front of Christ. So, son, what makes you think you deserve to come into heaven today? Well, Father, I believed in you when I was living on earth. And then when I seen all the bad stuff coming down, I was like, okay, I took a step back, and I knew that you'd be back someday. So I trusted in you that you'd be back. That's why I deserve to be in heaven, Father, because I believed in you. I believed in your return. And he's going to go, okay, so you believed in my return. How many souls did you bring to me? And you're going to be like, and this guy's going to be like, how many souls did I bring to you? Just one. Oh, and my family, my wife and my kids. That's 4. And he's going to be like, okay, so I made you. I gave you the opportunity to have kids and a wife and a loving family. And you took all my love that I gave you and all the blessings that I gave you. And you used them only on yourself? And the man is going to be like, I guess I kind of did, Father. And Jesus is going to be like, okay, pull the handle. And the guy's going to go screaming down, ah! He's going to burn the lake of fire. The next guy stands up, okay, why do you think you belong in heaven? And he's going to say, because I always listened to you and I obeyed what you said. And Jesus is going to look at the list and go, yep, you're on my list. You can come on in. Come on in. Pass the security up and you're inside of heaven. Next guy comes on in. Why do you belong in heaven? Well, Father, I don't believe in heaven, and yet I'm standing in front of you right now, and I still don't believe in you. And God's just going to pull that handle. Jesus is going to pull that handle, and the guy's going to go down the hill. Ah! That was the atheist for you. Oh, man. And half the Christians, too. You know, there's even a story in the Bible. Listen to what the Bible says about the Christians. It clearly says that one day, after everybody's been judged, Jesus is going to split the Christians apart into two groups. It's called the parting of the goats and the sheep. So come that day when all the Christians are standing in front of Christ, Christ is going to look at them and he's going to say, you're all sinners. And they're going to say, what do you mean, Lord? What do you mean we're sinners? This is in the Bible, written just like this. You're all sinners. What do you mean, Lord, we're sinners? He says, well, when I was naked, you didn't clothe me. When I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was a stranger, you did not let me in. When I was in prison, you did not come to visit me. And the people will reply, Father, when did we see you naked? When did we see you hungry? When did we see you afraid? When did we see you unclothed? You know, when were you in prison? And he's going to say, to all the people that you didn't help me. So imagine this next time when you're walking down the street and you come across a homeless person. And he says, please, sir, can I please have $1? I'm really hungry. Could you please loan me $1? And you say, hey, I get a job, buddy. And you pass that guy up. Come day that you come to heaven, and you walk up to the pearly gates. Jesus is going to go, hey, go get a life, buddy, and kick you out. That's why he says, you know, don't judge, because the way you judge, you'll be judged. The way you behave is how you will be treated. Is that what you want? No, of course not. This world is not supposed to be about cutthroat. We're not supposed to, rise to the top. It's not a battle to the top. That's the story about Babylon, the Tower of Babel. That's not what we are about. We as humans are supposed to unite and get along and live in peace. That's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to profit from war. That's disgusting. That is completely against God. That is the most injustice thing you could possibly do. Kill people for money. That's disgusting on every level. American women today believe that abortion is okay because they believe that the fetus is nothing more than an unborn fish. Don't tell me you people are smart. Don't sit there and try to bullshit me that because you went to a goddamn indoctrination camp called college, that makes you smart. It makes you a fucking parrot. You've been indoctrinated. That's it. You've been told what to say. Now you say it. Same thing with the military. You go into the military as a normal person and you come back out as a killing machine. Don't tell me you're smart. You are not smart until you finally realize that you can be brainwashed. Until you are able to say to yourself, okay, I am just a human being. Therefore, there is the possibility to brainwash me, for I am only flesh and I am mortal. There is that possibility. And until you actually accept that about yourself, that there is a chance that you could be weak and frail and suffer the same problems as everybody else. Everybody who watches television and lives inside that world is suffering just like the other person, yet you all hate each other. You shouldn't hate each other. You should love each other and come together and rise up against that genuine evil, that genuine threat, the television. You shouldn't just all hate each other because the television tells you to. It's stupid. It's very stupid. It's the same thing with men right now. Most men today have completely forgotten about God, that they start seeing females as their God. It's like if you ask, if you ask any man today, randomly on the street, what is his major goal in life? A good job, a good car, and a lot of pussy. Pardon, I need a sip of water. Is that really the ultimate goal? Good car, good life, and some pussy? Is that really the good goal? How about having Christ in your life and rising above the rest? You know, walking on water is not just a story told in the Bible. It is not just something that Christ can do. Every human being knows how to walk on water, but you refuse to do it. And people actually beat you down for doing it. They call you a self-righteous asshole. In other words, if you know the truth, but you don't follow their mainstream logic, then you are a self-righteous asshole because you are not taking part in their insane sin. So if this makes you a self-righteous asshole, and you are rising above them, you are not you're not inside of the ocean of masses. You are riding on top of the masses by refusing to take part in it. Just like Malachi from the Bible, he's one of my favorite people in the Bible, Malachi. And I like to think that I'm a lot like Malachi because even right now, you know, the authority is coming down really hard on Christians, and I'm not bowing. I will never surrender. I will never bow. Never. No way. The only person I'll ever bow to is Christ. And he won't have to tell me. I'll do it gladly. The day that comes that he does come back down to earth, he doesn't have to shake there's going to be a giant earthquake when Christ comes back, and everybody's going to fall to their knees. He doesn't have to shake the earth to make me go to my knees. And that's being a real Christian, folks. You know, it's thanks to my viewers that I've become the biggest Christian that I could become, that I've evolved in my own Christianity. Because it took a lot of guts for me to start talking to 1,000 people on YouTube about my Christian beliefs. I had to face a lot of ridicule. I had to face the fear that people would dislike me, that my channel might even go down. I overcame all those obstacles just to talk about Christ to you all. And you can even see it on my channel, how I slowly started bringing in the Bible. It was the only way I could do it and keep everybody's respect at the same time. Because I would otherwise be a guy that went from MGTOW to Bible. But I actually started with MGTOW. Then I did a couple of Bible videos. Then I brought MGTOW and the Bible together. And I'm the only MGTOWer out there today who can say to you, look, I'm a MGTOW Bible person. I talk about how the Bible adds into MGTOW. And you don't find that with anybody else. As a matter of fact, most of the MGTOWers out there today, their end goal is to not get married, but to have a lot of sex. And I'm like, you don't even need sex. All you need is God, because God is better than sex. Yes, you heard me right. God is better than sex. Absolutely. In every way possible. I'm sure a lot of people are going to leave me a comment going, really? How the fuck do you mean that God is better than sex? Very simple. Sex is earthbound. God is not. You could rise above it. You could rise above so much in this world. I think that sex really is a weakness in human beings. I think it's part of the original sin. Now, sure, you needed to recreate, you know, and to repopulate. But people today are doing it on a daily basis, continuously, over and over and over, like it's the only thing to do. If there's a blackout, there's a baby boom. It's like the thing that people always fall back onto. Let's have sex. Let's have sex. Let's have sex. It's ridiculous. I told you when I was living with my ex, I had sex with her every single day, 20 times a day. It's not a joke. I'm not kidding about the number 20 every single day. So after she was gone, I completely felt like I was sexually fulfilled. like fulfilled for life, fulfilled. And then the rape allegations came from her and all this other psycho stuff. And it's like I was fulfilled with women completely. I had enough of females in every way possible. I can't even listen to them speak. You know, sometimes it just make my ears bleed. And so for a while there, I thought that having a woman, I mean, I always loved God. God was always number one with me. But I always thought that having a woman would make my own life better. And so then I found out that it just makes your own life worse. A lot of men are like that, man. A lot of men are thinking if they have a girlfriend in their life, she can smile at them in the morning and then make them feel good and they go to work all happy. Or if they have a girlfriend in their life, they have somebody to talk to when they come home and somebody to cuddle up with or watch a movie with. Men have expectations from females too. We think that we can come home and that she'll be waiting there with a cookie for us or a sandwich for us or a glass of Coke for us when we get in the door. We have all these expectations that none of these females don't live up to. But then I found out that God lives up to every expectation you have of him. Whenever you need to talk, he's there to listen. Whenever you're down, he's there to help. Whenever you're injured, he's there to patch you up. Don't forget, folks, that every human being on this planet has two angels guarding him. You can have two angels at any time, and they help to serve you. I don't want to mention the things that I've been through with angels in my life because that's a long video. But you can call upon them at any time. You're not alone in this world. You're never alone in this world. No matter if you're by yourself living in a cave, completely isolated from the rest of the world, you're still not alone. You know those TV shows, Naked and Afraid, where those people go out on the island for 21 days, butt naked, and they have to survive. And then at the beginning of the show, they're always allowed to bring one item. Somebody brings a fire starter, the other one brings a Bowie knife or a hatchet or something, just so they can survive the 21 days. You know what I would bring? I would just bring my Bible. That would be it. And I'd show up there on the show, butt naked, holding my Bible. And the woman, my teammate, would be like, "What the fuck are you bringing that Bible for? Are you going to use it for campfire paper?" She would never understand that when I needed to hunt for food, I'd say a prayer. I said, "God, please help me find some food." Then I would go out and I'd find some food because God provided it for me. If I needed water, I'd say, "God, can you please help me find some water?" And he would help me find some water. He would tell me where to dig. So if I was stuck on an island by myself with a woman for 21 days, like the television show Naked and Afraid, all I would bring is my Bible. Because sometimes to get what you want from God, you have to study the Bible a little bit. You have to get in the zone. You can't just always reach him. Sometimes you have to be in that zone to talk to him properly. And also the Bible is a really good entertainment. And if I'm stuck on an island anyways for 21 days, I might as well take the Bible and educate myself even better in my own religion. Because the more that I know, the smarter I become, the closer to God I become, the closer to God I become. You see, in this world, folks, God is the reward. The more you spend time with him, the closer you become to him. The closer you become to him, the more that he will protect you and provide for you. You have to become one with him. He's not just some spiritual entity out there somewhere floating in the universe. He's right here. You can ask him into your life at any time that you want to. All you have to do is invite him in. This part's for Craig Meyer, who's probably not listening to this live stream anyways, but he keeps talking to me on the video comments. Craig, why don't you just give up all the suspicion, dude? Okay, that's it. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Craig, get him in this live chat. He keeps leaving me comments here and there, but then he disappears again. Whoa. That's a lot of thumbs up all of a sudden. I just posted that video. Okay, I'm going to tell him to come to my live stream. Are people not noticing the little red dot on my name that says that I'm live streaming right now? I mean, my own public is posting on my videos, but they're not listening to my live stream. That's very odd. People like Craig Meyer right now are talking on my other videos. I did post like I think 3 or 4 videos today. Maybe that's why. But you guys should clearly see the little red dot that says that I'm live streaming right now. Another comment. Man, I'm almost regretting putting that video up of Bill Burr. These guys here are just debating like little children. Okay, let's see here. I hope you all like my new video. I put a lot of love into it about Lady Liberty weeping. As a matter of fact, I might as well just play it here. Give me a chance to take a moment's break.